Hey crafters, you're back for day 7 of the 30-day craft room organization challenge. I'm so glad you're here. It might be a good time to sort of mention that I know some of you have been posting over in the Stamp with Cheryl Facebook group that you just can't wait for the weekend so you have more time. I will mention that I actually probably spend as much time organizing as I do crafting. So if you're feeling a little bogged down with this challenge, don't get discouraged. Just keep going and do as much as you can during this 30 days, and you can always keep working after it's over because organizing never stops. And I don't have a full-time job, so I pretty much just craft and have my sorted out organizing business. So I spend a lot of time thinking about this. So anyhow, today we're talking designer series paper, otherwise known as DSP for short in the Stampin' Up! World. But other people might just know it as pretty paper, right? Or pattern paper. And so I want to just show you how I organize mine, and then hopefully you can spend the day organizing yours, and then post some pictures over in the Stamp with Cheryl Facebook group. Now, this is a rack that I use. It's directly above my cardstock that we talked about yesterday. And this rack I found on Facebook. So always keep an eye out on Facebook Marketplace. You can actually set up a search. So you can type in scrapbook paper rack and then press save so that when one gets posted on Facebook, you'll get a notification letting you know and you can check it out. So this one I bought because I liked how it sat on top of my IKEA Kallax shelves. And I used to keep all of my pattern paper here. However, I ran out of space as usual. I used to keep current paper on one side and retired paper on another side. And when that wasn't working, I had to buy a second scrapbook rack, which I also found on Facebook Marketplace. I'll show you that one in a moment. But this one now keeps all of my specialty paper. So like the foils, the window sheets, the corrugated paper, just sort of anything that's like glimmer, anything that's specialty. And I do want to show you my favorite technique for labeling this. And again, we'll be talking about labeling during day 27, one of my favorite days. But I have found that using these clothespins from the dollar store and then just printing a label on my label maker is the best way to clip things on here. And that way, if you ever want to move things around, you're not peeling off labels. You can just unsnap the clothespin. So that is my way for trying to organize and label everything so I can quickly find what I need. Okay, so this rack is one that sits on the floor, and I actually really like this concept because then you don't need a shelf to put it on, right? Like I said, I found this on Facebook Marketplace, and the one thing that I'm not happy about is that the zones are not together, right? So I've got some DSP over here and some DSP over here, and that's not ideal for me, but unfortunately that's just the way that it has to be. So at least for me, it's helping categorize things in my mind by putting more retired and specialty over there and putting the current DSP here. And I actually just made a sign up here that says current DSP and not available for sale by the sheet, because this is what I use during the year. So Stampin' Up! Comes out with designer series paper in their new annual catalog, which is going to be happening in May. And so in May, I usually buy one pack of every single pack of DSP. I then label it with the same clothespins, and I keep the full pack plus any bigger scraps here together. Now, one tip is to make sure you do not throw away this back sheet, because this back sheet is going to tell you the name of the DSP as well as all of the colors that are used inside the pack. And that just helps when you're trying to color match things, okay? So from here, I do put them in alphabetical order, and that just helps me, again, find what I need quickly. So at the end of the year, when these retire, I do something different. And so let me show you that. So this section along my wall in my craft room is pretty much the stuff that I take to like a craft fair, which I do frequently trying to sell my handmade creations, but I also have just other things that are available for sale. And so for my retired DSP, I move it over here and I put it in one of those plastic tubs that we talked about yesterday that I get from the Container Store. I then put a label on it that just says DSP, which is available for sale for 75 cents per sheet. And you can see here, I don't like label them or organize them or anything. I do try and keep the packs together, but I have lots of DSP that's available for sale by the sheet. And again, this is only retired paper. And one more way to show you how I store my pattern paper, I keep my non-Stampin' Up! 12 by 12 paper somewhere different that I use for scrapbooking. And so when I go on a retreat, I basically just take this whole bin with me. Now keep in mind, I used to be a Creative Memories consultant and I love their scrapbooking products and I still use them to this day. And so I tend to keep those products separate from my Stampin' Up! But this is a Creative Memories caddy that I use with their dividers. And I will put patterned paper that's not Stampin' Up! In these, which I label by color. And these bins are nice, or these little caddies are nice because it has a pocket in the front and then another pocket back here. So I tend to keep like bigger pieces in the back and smaller pieces in the front. And then I actually take the full pieces and put them in front of the whole plastic divider. So anyhow, this is where I keep my pattern paper that is not Stampin' Up! That I would be taking to a retreat when I am scrapbooking. So anyhow, those are some ideas on how I store my pattern paper, and I'd love to see how you store yours. But spend the day trying to get yours under control and organized and sorted and figure out what works best for you. And make sure you hop over to the Stamp with Cheryl Facebook group and post your ideas with all of us. See you again for tomorrow when we talk about our scraps.